In August 2015, I left my husband for a 20-foot strip of bright orange corian. It was an irregular thing to do, but it was the best decision I'd taken since deciding to marry him 25 years earlier. The data suggests that women who do the more usual thing and leave their husbands for another man often regret it, as the new model can turn out to be not that much of an improvement on the old one. I don't know the statistics for women who leave their husbands for coloured polymer counters, as the data set must be small. But if my hunch is right, and I'm the only woman in the world ever to have done this, the stats tell me it can work out a lot better than you'd think. Not only did spending all my life savings on this orange strip and the modern house that encased it make me happier, it also helped my relationship with David, who is still technically my husband, as neither of us can see the point in divorcing. More unexpectedly, the freedom that came from leaving the vertical Victorian houses I'd lived in all my life and moving to a horizontal modern space did something I can't quite understand, even now, 5 years on. It released me from the force of habit that had defined my life until then. Long ago, before there were any noticeable cracks in my marriage, I used to throw David's books away. Every evening, he would come home from Prospect, the magazine he founded, with a bag full of review copies he'd been sent and add them to the waist-high piles that dotted the floor of his study. On the second Sunday of every month, a skip would arrive on our street for local residents to fill with their garden clippings and clapped-out IKEA furniture. I would wait for David to go off to his weekly game of football, load up a couple of bags, and nip out to the skip. One day he came back unexpectedly and caught me on the front steps with 4 plastic carriers bulging with books. He was so intent on not missing the start of his game, I don't think he noticed me, let alone wondered what I was doing. He never asked me about it. And because I did my pruning so deftly, he never missed a single book. He didn't read much anyway. He was too busy. Not only did he keep books, he kept articles from newspapers and magazines which he'd tear out and keep in tottering piles. He had so much stuff, he eventually had to move his study into the largest room in our house to accommodate the paper, as well as the ancient cassette tapes, broken electronic kit, and trunks filled with his old reporters' notebooks. But mainly the problem was books, which I kept under control with trips to the skip, until one day the council canned the service, which forced me to make covert trips to the local rubbish dump instead, hiding David's books in the back of the car under garden trimmings and other legit things I was getting rid of. If you had said that this act of subversion was an ominous sign, that what I was really trying to get rid of was my husband, I would have strongly denied it. Back then, throwing away was not about anything more profound than an incompatibility with clutter or anything ugly. I've always had a fervid interest in my surroundings. I don't mind a bit of mess, and I'm fine with dirt, but I find it hard to relax if there's anything ugly nearby. As I sit writing this in the open-plan room in my Hackney house, my eye alights on a bunch of purple, yellow and red tulips someone sent one of my daughters. In themselves they're well enough, but they don't go with the faded Kilim rug. This pains me. The obsession with interiors and exteriors started when I was a child. I spent the first 18 years of my life in an elegant if shabby Regency terraced house near Kentish Town that my Australian grandmother had bought in the 1950s for 500 quid. Almost before I'd learnt to read, Mum had taught me the superiority of square-paned windows and of egg and dark cornices. She was a property fiend, an early adopter of property pornography, and through her I discovered the bottomless pleasure of the smudgy, stamp-sized photos of houses for sale in the local newspapers. This has become a lifelong enslavement, and as the quality of the porn has improved, with the black and white photos giving way to colour and then to online slideshows and videos, my dependency has grown. Back then, we'd sometimes go and look at places Mum had found, just for fun,